My man looks like he's coming back from 8 Mile, just from a rap battle. Like it was the 400 hallways back in the day, going against Jonathan Allen, David Benjamin. Shout out to those people. I just had to shout them out because my man's rubbing his hand like
Birdman. Cypher, baby. That's how we start off a podcast. Let's go.
My man rubbing his hands like Birdman, and he has the hoodie on. So I thought he was about to cook me real quick with a rap. Should I go look up YouTube videos like the other guys did? Because apparently that was a big controversy back in the day. Somebody was getting their rhymes from YouTube. So I don't know.
Hey, we're not going to get into that. You know what I'm saying? That certain somebody may also be a professional football player on a professional, we'll call Washington Warriors. I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll get into that too. But baby, how you do? How are you doing? How you feeling? How you living? Going back to the studio soon, right?
Big announcement. We're going to the studio. Me and Joe are going to record like we normally do tomorrow. The podcast will drop Wednesday. This podcast obviously dropped today. Probably our last Skype video for a little bit. And unless COVID comes back and knocks us on our ass, like we're just like running a wheel route and the linebacker just read it and hit us. So we're going to drop the ball.
Might get Chris Jones.
We might get Christian. We might do a Le'Veon. We might just say forget about it. Pay us our money. Give us a year off.
we can only hope. We can only hope. But I don't know if they're going to extend for some employment money that we've been hoping for as Congress and the Senate continues to dread their feet. But let's not get into it. Let's get into some hopefully football, baby. What we got rolling. What we got coming off.
Hey, you know, always right we like today, to off the face of the franchise. I am your boy, Michael the Pharaoh Shanuti, and always my cohort from across the screen or across the table. It's little Joe, and rubbing his hands like Birdman. He's just ready to cook some people. But I think there is an update that
I wanted to say too, real quick, if I can just say, I feel like my beard and my overall look is more like I just spent several weeks just getting provisions on horseback. I killed several beasts, laid down several wolves.
The Oregon Trail.
Several goblins as well, and I'm a better man for it. AKA, I've been playing a lot of Witcher 3. Fantastic game. Go check it out. I know it came out in 2015. Don't care. Joey here recommending games from 2015. Keeping you right, keeping you tight. Let's get it. Let's go.
You're like a movie reviewer who just reviewed like all the Pixar movies. Like these are great. These are great. It's like, bro,
have you seen Shrek? Let me tell you about Toy Story and this boy Andy. You probably haven't heard of it. Magical story.
Hey man. Apparently there's a sexual scene of Andy getting a blowjob in front of the toys. So, just saying, Pixar been training us about sexual.
Why you always got to do that? Why you always got to turn into sexual and dark?
Especially, you know, Pixar's went like their moms.
Toy Story.
No, but their moms all have fat asses. Mrs. Incredible, that girl from like I think it's.
How dare you ruin Americans' youth and innocence? You son of a bitch.
You're an ass man. I know you're an ass man. It's because of the Pixar movies.
I mean, 1,000%. Yes, I grew up, and that was, planted subconsciously in my mind. There is no doubt there. But at the end of the day, can we just keep Toy Story, people? Can we just keep it a nice, innocent story about a terrifying kid named Sid that lives across the street? Can we just fucking do that?
Yo, you
have to turn into a porno for me.
You kind of look like Sid a little bit.
First of all, that is so wrong. I look, again, like a mountain man
when you're
today.
When you're clean shaven, you don't look like Sid a little bit, just a bit.
No. If Sid was super attractive, had a perfect lean body form, and would steal your girl in a minute, then that's Jit. That's totally me, Mr. Steal Your Girl is what I've always been known for.
Oh my God, you and Trey Songz both, but there is a guy that could steal your girl if he's back in the NFL. Do you want to tell everybody what update's about to happen right now?
Yeah, crackhead dickhead update of the week. We got AB news. AB was working out with Russ. Again, man, exactly. For those that aren't watching on YouTube, chatter, bullshit chatter. I mean, it's more of the same, man. New week, new rumor for AB. Again, this guy's not going to be able to play. I don't know why he keeps coming up in the news. I don't know why he keeps being talked about. He's not going to play this year, maybe ever again.
Well, here's my deal. So you have AB working out with, first of all, your boy Dwayne Haskins. That was one. Lamar Jackson. That was two. Now it's Russell Wilson at his facility catching balls. Right.
We mentioned Dwayne last week in the dark.
Exactly. So like, if you're AB, this is great for you because you're staying in shape, and for the quarterbacks, they're throwing to probably the best wide receiver our generation has ever seen. So my point is, let's stop with this fucking bullshit because everybody forgets one thing and one thing only. My man had to go through all those charges, right? The NFL stopped the investigation because he wasn't on a team. They're like, well, why do we need to put an investigation on him if he's not going to play football ever again? It's like a guy sitting out, like a guy who's dead, but he murdered like 30 people. They're like, oh, we should go arrest him, but he's dead. That's basically how it is. This guy is dead. He's dead in the water. He did what he did. I don't think he's going to sign with any team this year, but there is an inkling because my prediction was the Seahawks from the very beginning. I was like, right, if there's two people who would say, oh, we can fix him other than Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, it's the corniest dude alive in Russell Wilson and the biggest, like, I'm a cool grandpa, Pete Carroll. And then, like, that.
I mean, the Redskins think they could, too, I bet. They just can't.
I mean, listen, if Dwayne was a little bit, they have their own problems, right? With the Trent Williams
or
thing.
Excuse me, Washington, I apologize.
Yeah, let's calm down on the name. Trent Williams, Washington Harvards. You say the Washington Harvards for right now. So Trent
Washington
Williams.
Warriors. Yep.
Trent Williams had his own deal, and they just got rid of him. Dwayne is not old enough yet to be like, I'm the leader of the team. Plus, the defense itself would probably crack AB in the mouth. We know somebody personally who plays for the Redskins and starts on that defense. You think JL, if AB was mouthing off to him, you don't think JL would take him and break him over his knee like Batman and Bane? Like, he'd just be like, and then drop him to the ground. Like, I don't think it's perfect fit in Skinsville, but I think Seattle, they did the Josh Gordon thing. He's all right, I guess. I don't fucking know. But Russell Wilson, corny dude, Pete Carroll, cool grandpa. They want to make sure that they can do this, but that's my thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, maybe, but at the end of the day, man, I think it's as likely as going to happen as Ray Lewis all of a sudden having a comeback, or as likely as Ray Lewis did murder and rape that person.
Exactly. There's like, oh, Jesus told me I'll be to the Super Bowl, but dude, you killed the guy.
Also, at the same time, I would like to frame, you said it's like AB murdered 30 people and then that person was dead. Little lighter than the serial killing of 30 people, but your point is heard, dude. But someone who is killing you in the tight end position also demanded a trade for my cheesy transition of the week. David Njoku, he's demanded a trade. What's he bar? Oh, it was good and awful, purposely so though. See, when you do the cheesy correctly, it just works. Sometimes you can bask in the cheese. You can swim in the cheese.
You are literally our.
It's just the type of technique you take in the cheese.
You are the cheese on a board full of meats and other things, olives and pickles and all that shit. And
nice, the face of the franchise listeners, eat me up, baby. Next time. God, all right, I even winced at that one a little bit.
We just got canceled.
And we lost all our fans. But no, man. So he requested a trade. Want to get the fuck off the Browns. What are we thinking? How are we feeling? I mean, personally, I'll go first. I know I just asked you, but I mean, I'm just interested in what that locker room's like and what exactly their demands. I mean, you probably know a little bit more of the story than I do. Yeah. But let's get into it, man. Tell me a little bit about it.
So let me tell you. So David Njoku, former first-round pick for the Cleveland Browns. Culture change. Let's just go with that. They brought in Austin Hooper. He was probably right behind Kelsey and Kittle before he got injured. And then Cleveland gave him all this money. And you look at Njoku, he's coming up on a contract here. And obviously, if I'm Njoku, I'd say, oh, this is like, oh, shit, they brought in another tight end. They gave him all this money. They don't believe in me. Here's the reason why Njoku should shut his mouth. Njoku has dropped more balls in the NFL than any receiving anything in the NFL. wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. He's dropped every pass.
Fantasy blue baller for sure.
He sucks. He's just a physical freak, and that's why he was drafted where he was. He was drafted to be this raw talent. Guess who drafted him, by the way? You fucking Jackson, the worst coach of all time. So, in my opinion, he tweeted.
What was that name here again? Hugh Jackson.
I was going to say Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman, fucking Wolverine.
Can't sing Les Miserables, can't coach a football team.
Can't coach a football team. So they drafted him, right? And then Austin Hooper gets signed. And then he goes, oh, I love the competition. I love the competition. Not 2 months later goes, I want to request out. Let's be honest. The team that I think is going to get him is going to be probably the Patriots. And I hate to say it like that, but we said their biggest weakness is tight end. Why not put the two biggest D-bags from this offseason, the Cam Newton and Njoku? Big Cam Newton guy. I'm a Cam Newton guy, but I hate Njoku because he thinks he's so good, but he's just a physical freak. Like, it's just like putting, like, the most athletic guy out there and hoping he'd be good, but he can't catch. So that's the problem. So I think he's just being a baby. I think he's just being an asshole, like always. And I never really liked him coming out of college. I thought there was way better tight ends. But, I mean, if they get him out, I mean, it's culture change, like I said. Why, if you're the Browns with all this talent and you just sign Austin Hooper, who comes in, very quiet guy, and you have this guy, Njoku, who's talking a lot of shit, just get him out. Get the third-round pick or whatever and then move on. So.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's to me, yeah, you haven't proven it yet. You're the fantasy, like I said, you're the fantasy blue baller. You haven't really kind of shown out and blown out. So, I mean, I need consistency from you. I need a little bit more gravitas for me to actually believe in you and
exactly.
to do something like this. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You haven't done that yet, and you haven't really proven that yet. However, at the same time, it doesn't really sound like you said, let's just say culture change. We don't know exactly why that man wants to get out of there and all that good stuff. What's exactly going on in that locker room? Because, you know, that locker room probably isn't the funnest locker room either. There's probably a lot of pressure in there. There's a lot of talent with a lot of expectations. And it's probably, I mean, we've been chasing coaches out of there for years now. And you got, yeah, so it's kind of a loaded hand grenade in a sense. So I get it. We'll see what happens with it. I think there are some teams where he could be a better fit, maybe utilize him a little bit better. But at the end of the day, if you're dropping balls and you're giving fantasy fans blue balls, you're not going to get the calls.
Him and OJ Howard are the biggest, like, I cannot wait to see what they do, tight ends since recent memory. And he just became, with Austin Hooper coming in, he just became like the 6th or 7th receiving option in that offense. So obviously I understand where he's coming from, but don't tweet like I love the competition and 2 months later request a trade. That means you just know you suck. And then it's just like, dude, fuck off. But I just don't know. I mean, like, these guys just are terrible in the sense of, like, they think they're better than they are. And then the next thing you know, they come out with this shit. So.
Yeah, that he needs to get Chris Jones. He needs to get straight up Chris Jones to set him straight. What the fuck's going on with him?
So Chris Jones, D-end for the Super Bowl winning Chiefs. Probably he's up there in top 5, probably edge rushers, D-ends, is requesting. Yeah. He's just basically saying, I don't want to do a franchise tag. I want a long-term contract. Reasonably so. I mean, they just won the Super Bowl. He was probably one of the main pieces on that defense. Yeah. So he basically told everybody, he's like, I'm Le'Veon Belling the situation. Basically, he will sit out the season. He won't play. He wants a long-term contract. And Le'Veon Bell basically said he was just like, oh, like, that's a good idea because, like, I know how to read contracts and da-da-da-da-da. People are saying Le'Veon got less, but Le'Veon's like, no, my contract says otherwise, whatever. Basically, Chris Jones is saying, I need to get paid the way I need to get paid or I'm out. Because he knows one thing and one thing only, like I've been saying for a month now. Once Patrick Mahomes gets paid, the Chiefs are in the red, like for sure.
Yeah.
Like once Patrick Mahomes gets paid, I have every sense of seeing Travis Kelce leaving, him leaving, Hill leaving, Tyrann Matthews. Like it's true. Like once
the foundation falls apart.
Of course, like once you pay the guy, you're gonna have to figure out budget cuts, figure out rookies who could fill those spots. So Chris Jones is trying to get paid before that happens. But will the Chiefs do it? Probably not. Franchise tag, yes. So I don't know. How do you feel? Like, this guy is one of the best, but I don't know if the Chiefs have the collateral from now to later to pay him. So.
Well, it's a classic dilemma of running a franchise, right? I mean, you got to get your budgets in, you got to play your great players well, and you want to keep the cores of your foundation, the cores of your house together, right? Chris Jones is definitely a huge part of that core and that foundation. You lose him, you lose a big piece, and I agree that everyone else kind of falls with him, right? That's the domino you don't want to fall,
Right.
or like a honey badger is another domino you probably don't want to fall, and so. With that being said, I think he's earned it. I think you got to figure out a way to make it work. Again, you don't you can't have the house stand if you don't have the foundation. Not to beat that point over the head, but that's the way I see it. So pay the man. Don't franchise. Don't disrespect. Don't franchise tag him. Don't disrespect him. He's earned it. He's clearly proven he's a fucking mammoth on that field. So yeah, pay the man.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing, but you know. I think the Chiefs might have to change their name as well. What do you think? Because if one team has to change their name from an a Native American name, I think all of them do. But I'm going to let the Washington R-word fan tell us what's going down in Washington land with the name and how he feels. Lil Joe.
Well, I'll rant away. Let me give you my quick beat, and then I'll get into it. My quick beat is simply this: as I've already said it, Washington Warriors done, kibbutz, whatever. Let's just get it over with. But Dan Snyder, first of all, is on the record back in 2014 or 15, I believe the quote was that he'll never change the team name. I had family members coming at me left and right. I've had friends coming at me left and right about this issue. This is something that has been glaring for a really long time. And yes, if you look at the history of the word, it is incredibly offensive. It has a long, just a tiffy, just a smidgy, and that smidge turns into a whole blotch, and it's pretty fucked up. So the name needs to be changed. I think there's no stepping back at this point. Yes, we can get in the conversation. It's a shame it took this long. I mean, as we can kind of see the last couple of months, that's kind of shameful America for you in general. Things that seem obvious take way longer than they should. With that being said, now that we are here, I think we'll find out in the next couple of days what the team name should be going forward. Again, I'm pretty. Besides that, it's pretty quick for me. It's Washington Warriors. Some of these other names that have been floating around have been god awful. I haven't even really tried to subscribe to it or look at it at noon. Let me pull it. What are some names that you've been hearing that have been floating out there?
I saw Red Tails just to.
I've seen
So the Red Tails, if people don't know, were the first African American infantry in World War I or II pilots, and it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch. Great movie. Renegades. So the reason why a lot of the names are starting with the R is because apparently I read this. The Redskins trademarked the R in the circle. So that's why a lot of people are saying Renegade would be best because you can also keep the spear. Because Renegade, it could be like you said, it's a warrior concept. Kind of like you could still have the little feathers in the back. That doesn't mean it's a headdress. It's just feathers, whatever. You keep the R. I think the biggest thing to change a billionaire's mind is when the companies that give him money are saying they're pulling out, especially FedEx and Nike, saying we're not supporting you.
Well, that's all of it too, right? It finally affected the bottom line, right? Exactly. And when especially with Dan, I should add, that's a great point. When it affects Dan Snyder's bottom line, when you start getting those letters from FedEx, then all of a sudden, oh well, yes, we realize that the name's a problem. And now we'll look. Oh, now you'll look at it, and that's just Dan Snyder in a nutshell. That's your greedy American 1%er in a nutshell. That's capitalism smiling its greedy face in a nutshell.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Was just like once I saw the name changes coming, I knew right away I was like, well, what was the cause and effect? The cause was people are upset because it's 2020. Race issues are more relevant than ever in the front line. So
FedEx, they have been since the 60s, yeah.
Yeah, FedEx, Nike, apparently some minority stakeholders, like, I don't know, sponsors, probably like Famous Dave and shit like that, probably were like, we're not going to support you if you still have the Redskins name. So, I mean, it would be fun to see.
Papa John's probably fine with it.
Huh?
Papa John's is probably fine with
Papa John's probably was the one who was like, we're 100% back in the Redskins name, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's like I wouldn't mind the Washington Renegades. I feel like I told somebody, I was like, it sounds like an arena football team, but I bet you when the I bet you the Oilers, when they changed it to the Tennessee Titans, probably people thought the same thing. It's like, what the fuck? But I don't know. I'm surprised to see they'll probably keep the same burgundy and gold, obviously. But the real thing is,
at the very least,
I mean,
I think there's no doubt there.
Yeah, so I would like to see the Red Tails or the Renegades, but Warriors would be cool. But I think the real big thing is the trademark R. If they didn't trademark that R, I think it would be different. They would just lose a trademark. So it's like, but I don't know.
Well, and I know they already have lost their as we all know, it's old news. They lost their trademark for the Washington R word. So, yeah, I think it's long overdue, like we've been saying, and we'll see the next couple of weeks what it'll be, man.
I mean, is this really a conversation we should have? Because, I mean, like, COVID is basically kicking everybody's ass, and I don't know if there's going to be a football season this year.
No, I don't think so either, man. That's exactly right. It's pretty much hitting us all with waves, and it's looking like Little Joe might be correct on this one. I mean, now everybody's coming about it. Rodney Harris came out recently and said he's unsure about the season. You got some players even coming out now saying they're unsure about the season. So it's. I mean, we got several coaches. Bill Cowher, I'm looking at my list here, said as well. So you got some big names now coming out and saying, I don't know if it's going to happen. Fauci, obviously everybody's favorite person, said it's definitely not going to happen. What are we thinking, dude?
Dr. Oz at this point. This dude is just a fucking celebrity doctor at this point. Fauci is not even just a doctor. He's a celebrity doctor. But
he's the leading disease expert in the nation.
The only thing is this is a domino effect, right? Once you cancel one thing, things are going to get canceled right behind it. So it started with the Hall of Fame ceremony and game, canceled, right? Next, it's the 2 preseason games, canceled. Next, it's some training camp sessions, canceled. But they're holding down pat, saying that they're going to have facilities open, probably have like 90 players and coaches going at a time, which is like asinine in my opinion. Like some of these places are fucked, like Florida, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, Miami. Like all those places are absolutely fucked with COVID cases. Plus, there's reports coming out that there's different diseases happening now down there. I don't know. Florida's just an absolute dumpster fire. Like literally a dumpster fire.
What's new?
And it's so funny that you put the biggest cheater in the world, Tom Brady, down there, and he still is not listening. I bet you Tom Brady gets fucking COVID by the end of this because he's just not listening. He just has 10 people workouts, putting on Instagram, I'm ready to work, whatever. But my point is, it's just, I think we're getting close to you being right than me being right. I will say this: MLB and NBA coming back and seeing how they will do is what's going to sway the NFL 100%. Roger Goodell, I will say this, is more of a dictator than anyone I've ever seen. He will have 100 people die of COVID before he'll cancel the season. And I will stand pat on that hill, that he will see some people die of COVID before he cancels the season.
There's so much here, man. There's so much here, but I agree.
I'm sorry.
He's a dictator. There's just a lot to unpack. So I think one, he is a dictator that would leave those bodies behind for the purpose of football to continue. I mean, whatever it may take, right? But I think and then you have Trump coming out recently saying, hey, we have to live with this and all that good stuff, and you can get into that loaded hand grenade if you want as well. I know we got into this a little bit last week, and what I said last week, man, is I don't really want to repeat myself, but you don't follow procedures, this is what's going to happen, right? And we talked about how Florida started to reset last week, and that's where a lot of these, games and things were supposed to be played. Texas reset itself, so it's. I don't think football is going to happen. I don't think NBA. I'd be surprised to see NBA, MLB happen. I just don't think it's safe. I was recently asked to return to. I'll just use this as a point. I was recently asked to return to work to teach swim lessons. I thought about it. I went back and forth. I don't want to see 60, 70 kids and different families coming in and out for 5 days a week. Like that. That's just literally begging and asking for it. We have the same thing when you have if you have these games happen and you have all these players gather together, you have 60, 70 different families, people from different families coming together, and you don't know where they went and who they touched and da 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 da. You can take all the procedures, you can take all the precautions, but you come in contact with one person who didn't follow those procedures and precautions correctly, and boom. And so to me, it's not smart, man. And I've said this again and again, and it's if you can't follow those procedures correctly, that's what's going to happen.
So here's my dilemma with the whole thing, right? Let's just call it spade a spade. Okay, this is not political. This is nothing. All right. The U.S. is on track to being the worst country to handle this COVID-19 situation.
On track, we are.
We are exactly. So I'm not. This is not an attack on anybody. This is not an attack on certain political climates. All I'm saying.
Right.
So my point is, where do we begin to saying COVID is here, COVID is COVID, fuck it, let's just live life. You know what I mean? I feel like that's where Florida and Texas went, but they didn't do it in the right way. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of states did phases, and they did the phases for a longer time. I feel like Florida and Texas did phase 1 for 2 days, then they went straight to phase 3. And then, like, I saw the beaches were hopping. Like, my cousins, and I'm calling them out. My cousins went to Tampa Bay. They went to Miami. I don't know if they have it. But the point is, they put themselves at risk saying, you know what, COVID's, and life is going to have to really rely on us to be like, this is part of the fabric of our life. Like, you know what I mean? Like the flu season, we know the flu season. You get the vaccine and you go. And I think that's what's going to happen. But right now it's to a point. What did we do before the vaccine? We still went out. We still did stuff in the winter.
Like, and I'm not saying, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying let's all go hide in our huddles for another 3 months. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that exactly in a sense what you're saying, and let's go back out. Yes, we need to start living our lives again. We need to get things rolling and all that good stuff. I understand, to keep society whole and functioning, but at the same time, you got to take those precautions too, or you're going to have those resets like we have had. So I want these seasons to happen. Obviously, I'm dying out here like the rest of us for some sports and for some normalcy in my life, but again, if we just rush back like it never happened, and it's not there at the same time, and don't take those proper precautions, and it's just going to keep recycling itself until hopefully we find a vaccine. So that's, I think, one, we got to take the proper precautions and be smart and wear those masks. Like I said last week, not making it a political issue, not making it one side of the coin or the other. Get inside the coin and solve the issue. That's all it really is.
You just got to figure out what we can do. And I don't know how real these videos are of Australia has already started vaccine testing and shit like that. My point is, call me when it's ready. Call me when everything comes back. Listen, I'm at now the point where sports, where whatever on, I'll watch. If it comes back, it comes back. Like, that's what I'm saying. Now, I will be very, very depressed if college and NFL football are not being played. But at this point, I rather, as a Steelers fan, because I watched one of my players almost fucking die playing. One of my favorite players, Ryan Shazier, and almost lost his ability to walk. Like, safety of these NFL players is apparent. Like, okay, the UFC, whatever, they have Fight Island, I don't care. Soccer, cool. Like, they have precautions. I feel like Roger Goodell doesn't have any. I feel like his plan is see what happens. But I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
You're taking the Vince McMahon approach, man. You're taking the Vince McMahon approach, and that's just, we're gonna do it. Let's see what happens. Let's go.
Yeah, but anyway, I think this is a dead horse getting beat. So I think we should go to our new favorite segment,
NFL season preview, featuring the AFC West.
So if you haven't listened to past episodes, we did AFC least, haha, Joe joke, and the AFC South. But we did 2 teams at a time. Move on so we can get, if there is an NFL season, we will catch up. We're going to do the AFC West this week. We have the Chargers, the Raiders.
You got it, baby. Come on now. Bring her home. Bring her home, bud.
Raiders, Broncos, and the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. Obviously, we'll keep the Chiefs last. But let's start with the team that I think we both are in agreement is going to come last, the Raiders. So the Raiders, obviously, their big season move. They're moving to Las Vegas. Obviously, they're the Las Vegas Raiders. They got the draft next year, the Pro Bowl, all this shit. But we now see this third year of John Gruden with this team that is now built around Derek Carr. We have Josh Jacobs obviously coming back, probably should have been NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for Kyler Murray. They also drafted Henry Ruggs, the fastest wide receiver in the draft. Typical Raider move. Their defense, on the other hand, has come off kind of a good season. Max Crosby, their third-round pick last year, turned some heads. He had double-digit sack totals. Their offensive linemen, they kind of built it pretty well. So I think obviously we're big fans of the Waller, Darren Waller. He's a fucking beast. So
I am the walrus.
So all these I mean, it's just the team that's going to be there. I feel like they were actually in playoff contention for a while with the Steelers and the Titans. Kind of went down after that. We don't know if John Gruden actually likes Derek Carr, so I think this is the year we find out if he actually likes him. But I have this team going 7-9, 6-10. I think that the nostalgia of Las Vegas, also the Las Vegas flu for other teams when they travel there. They're going to definitely be partying. They definitely might, especially if it's a night game. You never know. But I think this team will be on the cusp of if they have a few more players, if Derek Carr is the guy, maybe next year they make a push for the wild card spot. Because let's be honest, the team at the top of their division, they're not going anytime soon. So, but 7-9, 6-10 is my preview for them.
Yeah, for my side of the preview, my side of the coin of the preview, man. First of all, I do like these. Again, they're all deep threat, speedy wide receivers. That's what John Gruden loves. I mean, listen to this: Tyrell Williams, Henry Ruggs, as you already mentioned, Hunter Renfrow, and then on the back corner, in case anybody gets hurt, you still got these same type of guys. And even though an unproven Zay Jones, that's what he was known for in college, Nelson Aguilar. And even Brian fucking Edwards, man. So it's again, you still got these long shooters. My biggest thing with John has always been, and I said this last year on the show, man, is adapt or die. I think that he's still trying to do what he won the Super Bowl back with in 1999 when he beat my Redskins in the divisional round. Right. and you know, if I can talk here today, if you don't adapt or die in anything in life, if you don't adapt, you die. It's plain and simple. That's all it is, baby. I don't see the Raiders adapting. I see them dying this year. Again, at a 6-10. I'm with you. Very rare. New and Joe are on the same page. And that they're coming around 6-10. I would even say potentially 5-11. I think this team gets surprised with how unprepared they're going to be. I think you say Vegas flu. Well, baby, the first year in Vegas is going to be a tough year. I'm going to say that at the very least, man. 6-10.
I think they sneak one in. I think they just sneak like a big win, like against the Chiefs or against like the Titans or whoever they play. I don't know. I feel like they will. I don't know. They'll be there, but they won't be there yet. And I think the other side of the coin. Go ahead.
They certainly will be there.
Yeah, they will certainly be in Las Vegas. But another team that's going through some major changes is the Los Angeles Chargers. Now that they're going to
San Diego. If we say San Diego and forever say San Diego on this show. San Diego.
If there's a team that's prepared for the COVID-19, no fans kind of stadium, it's definitely the Chargers. Let's be honest. Their stadium was shit. The StubHub.
Hey, do you like a depressing situation and being in a city that already has way too much going on and too many sports teams? Come be a Chargers fan, where you're certainly to cry and be heartbroken.
And it didn't help that the Rams went to the Super Bowl the year that they both moved, because I feel like there's going to be more Rams fans because of that, bandwagon fans, than the Chargers. Obviously, they lost their all-time quarterback in Phillip Rivers to the Colts. Now they have Tyrod Taylor battling Blaine Gabbert. Herbert.
You got it. Justin, baby.
For the quarterback spot. Either way, it's not going to be a good situation. They lost
What week is Justin Herbert starting? What week you got him starting back?
If we have Tua coming in around week 10, week 9, I think Herbert's going to come sooner. I think it's week 6. I think it's like week 6, week 5.
I'm saying like 2.
Really? Damn.
Week 2 or 3.
Damn. I have Joe Burrow starting immediately, Herbert, and then Tua. I feel like Brian Fitzmagic is going to have a little bit of magic, a little bit more than Tyrod. And that's what's going to happen. Plus, Melvin Gordon's gone to their division rivals, who we're going to talk about after.
This magic is starting the whole season, baby. I'm taking them to Super Bowl. They're going 16-9.
Take that to the bank, Joey's bank ticket.
Life savings, baby. I'm telling you right now, the mage himself, Fitzmagic, will take you all the way to the promised land.
So we have that. We have Melvin Gordon gone, but Austin Eckler should be good. Austin Eckler had probably a hell of a start to a season. I mean, Austin Eckler, plus they have Justin Jackson, who's supposed to be really good. They drafted Justin Kelly from, I forgot what fucking school, but that's a three-headed monster in the back. Joshua Kelly, thank you. And they also have the wide receiving core of Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, and Keenan Allen. Don't expect them to do anything with a rookie quarterback or Tyrod Taylor, but I think
Joshua Kelly from UCLA, dude.
Thank you, boss. And that's why you got my back. And the offensive line is getting everyone back from injury. That was probably the biggest focal point, is that Phillip Rivers didn't have time to throw, so they did. But let me talk to you about the real deal of this team, the defense. Joey Bosa, Melvin.
Real deal, yes, sir.
Time Casey Hayward, Darren James is back, probably one of the best safeties in the league. Then they go out and get Chris Harris Jr., probably one of my favorite corners in the NFL, undrafted, was a Keep Talib's teammate in Kansas, becomes a Super Bowl champion, becomes one of the best corners in the NFL with Showtime and Desmond King. I think this defense is going to be a top 5 defense, and I think it's going to be like a Pittsburgh Steelers situation. If Herbert's not good or Tyrod, I think they're 8-8, 9-7. I'm not saying that they'll be close to the playoffs, but this is a team that if Herbert shows some promise, that they could re-sign those guys. Hunter Henry becomes a tight end we believe in. Keenan Allen's always a guy that we always see. And Mike Williams becomes the speedster out of Clemson that we thought he was going to be, and thought he was going to be really, really good. And I don't know. I like this team's makeup. I love Anthony Lynn. I think he's one of the best coaches to ever be hired. I mean,
I'm a big fan as well.
Just think about it, dog. Like they were 12-4 before, and with the Chiefs for that division just a year ago. So there's nothing that could tell me that this team got really derailed that much, because they did have an awful season. But like I said, they had a lot of injuries, And Melvin Gordon was suspended. Now Austin Eckler is by himself. I think Austin Eckler is more of a pass catching back. I don't know. I like this team going 8-8, 9-7. Just because I like the makeup, but I don't know what the quarterback position holds.
Well, I think this schedule in particular is really interesting. And it's like week 1, easy dub. Week 2, Chiefs. Week 3, Panthers. Week 4, Bucks. It's like it goes up and down pretty much. And then you kind of got an easy stretch. This schedule, I mean, you got a couple tough bumps in the road, but their schedule's it's middle of the road in terms of difficulty, but it's easier than a lot of their opponents in their division. I know mostly they're facing the same conferences, but the way it's formed and the way it's going to kind of play out for the Chargers, I think, is particularly interesting. And I think it's kind of depending on how this offense does. Once again, Newt and Joe are on the same page here. I think we're getting all kinds of that today. But I see about a 7-9 team when it's all said and done. A similar record to the Raiders. I think the Raiders are a little bit worse. Obviously, I got them at 5-11 or 6-10. But I just don't ultimately believe, besides that running game, completely in this Chargers offense, despite their defense just looking sexy as hell and dominant.
I love that defense. I think it's one of the best defenses makeup-wise in the NFL. And like we said to the Raiders point, they are moving to that new stadium this season, I believe, or next season with this season. Raiders. So the new stadium should help kind of like bring like fans in and stuff like that. But I think this is where we're going to stop agreeing.
Yeah, you got a hard on over here, man. Tell the people who you got a hard on for.
I have a hard on for the Denver Broncos, and here's why. I think they had one of the best drafts this past draft just to help unlock Drew Lock. No pun intended.
So did every other draft expert in the media.
No, I think Drew Lock, he came on last season pretty well. I think if anything, he's good enough to take this team to the playoffs, which I have them going to the playoffs as a second wild card team. With
your wild scout.
Huh?
I said your wild scout. Continue.
So I really have a hard on for that offense that just got Melvin Gordon, who we said has still Philip Lindsay, who's pretty good. If everybody keeps forgetting about this guy is really, really good. But that Cortland
really good's a little far, but he's good.
He's really good. He's good. He's way better than what people thought he was. So let's start right there.
With the addition of Melvin Gordon, that's scary because it opens him up to so much more.
Exactly. I think that offensive line is gelling. I like the Noah Fant breakout this year. I like
his real hard on, ladies and gentlemen.
Or Cortland Sutton.
If you go back and listen to the tapes, he mentioned Noah Fant 3 weeks in a row. I went back and listened 3 weeks in a row for his off the charts free agency secret or whatever.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. He had like 80 yards and a touchdown. He was good. He was fucking amazing. And then you have Cortland Sutton, who had the biggest breakout last year from his rookie year. He is now considered one of the top wide receivers in the NFL. Let's not mention my wide receiver, who I thought was better than CeeDee Lamb, who I thought was better than Jalen Reagor and fucking Henry Ruggs, fucking Jerry Jeudy. And then you add the guy
going first, right? For wide receivers?
Ruggs went first, then it was Jeudy, then it was Lamb. So, and then Reagor was after Lamb. But it's so funny to me because then they add another guy who they call legit the playmaker, and KJ Hamler from fucking Penn State. He's fucking nuts. Then they brought his own tight end, Drew Lock's tight end from college, to be with Noah Fant to run a 2 tight end set. Okay, I'm done with the offense, but the offense looks great if Drew Lock is who we think he is. The defense has probably the best defensive player we've seen since with J.J. Watt in the past decade. Von Miller still has the engine. He still has the charisma of getting to the quarterback with Bradley Chubb, who was out last season. That's why Von Miller didn't get the sack totals he got, because Bradley Chubb was injured the whole time. They still have great defensive backs, very young defensive backs. Simmons just got a franchise tag, who I think he's one of the most underrated safeties. Linebacking core pretty good. Vic Fangio is the guy who made the Bears defense and made that team go 12-4 with Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky, dude. And I think Drew Lock could be better than Trubisky. That's 100%. And
that I am in total agreement with.
So that being said, I have this team 10-6. I won't say 11.
I was about to say. I was about to fucking lose
10-6. I think it really just depends on Drew Lock. I really do. They have no excuse. They have the receiving core. They have the tight end. They have the running back. The offensive line is way better. The defense is not one of the top defensive units, but it has some players. It has a defensive-minded head coach. Let's see what John Elway is made of. This is it. This is it for Drew Lock, and this is it for John Elway. If they do not do well, I see both of them gone.
Listen, we don't completely this is by no means like a Lamar and Patrick level debate here. I mean, we talked about this a little bit off air. And why you think what you do, why you have the Drew and Noah boners, and also extreme, and what's finally gonna make you come is that defense, right? But what I see here, we're not too far off. I see a 9-17. Where we differ is I don't see playoffs for this team. I don't see playoffs for this team. I think they just miss out. I think Drew Lock does improve this year. I think Noah Fant does improve this year. I'm fans of them both as well. I don't think they're going to improve to the level that you see them getting to. I think Von Miller is on the better side of a hell of a career, or on the worst side of a better career, I should say. Excuse me. So yes, his number's been downtrending. I like Bradley Chubb a lot. We've talked about. I'm a huge fan of Bradley Chubb. But this defense doesn't get me going as much as it used to, and it does for you. It really doesn't. I mean, it's not a Titans defense. I wouldn't even say it's a Chargers defense, man.
Titans, man, that's top 5. Those are top 5 defenses.
Yeah, they're definitely not a top 5. I would say they're about a maybe middle of the pack defense.
Top 12. I'd say top 12.
And then you're just kind of, they're on the better. Then you just say they're on the better side of the defenses, but they're not really. To me, I don't think it's going to be enough ultimately to get them where you see them.
Well, I like to preface this, right? Charger coming off of what we just did with the Chargers, I think we look at the Broncos and it's like, it's not really sexy. I think they're good enough defense to win you some games or keep you in games. And I see them like kind of like the Chiefs defense last year. And I'm not saying this is a Super Bowl winning team at any cost. I'm just saying playoff team. I just say they have their corners.
Really got to fucking pump the brakes.
I mean, cornerstones like Von Miller, Chubb, and Simmons, they're pretty good. I mean, they're not fucking Tyrann Mathieu and Chris Jones, I'm sorry, or Frank Clark, but like they don't have Patrick Mahomes back there. They have Drew Lock. We think is gonna be good, but not Patrick Mahomes level. I think he's just above average. But like I said, if the team is meshing well, this team is my wild card team and my surprise team of the year. And that's where I feel. So I don't know. So
is that how you feel?
So I guess this is where we're gonna definitely be in tandem. I feel like the Super Bowl winning Kansas.
Just watch your words. Just watch your fucking mouth.
Kansas City. Come on. Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs.
I love you, babe.
Great head coach Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes. I won't say more about Patrick Mahomes because that's already been said. But let's just talk about their offseason moves. We did talk about Chris Jones maybe sitting out of the season, but they still have Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu. They have some good corners. They have some good linebackers coming back. Their offensive line is pretty solid from front to back. Of course, like you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you have to make sure. But you also have to make sure that there's a running back behind them. So what do? They draft probably the most electric running back in all of college football, Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU. And I think that was the biggest surprise in the draft because it went before players like DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, who people had ahead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But when you look at what they did with Damian Williams last year, I think this is a perfect back in the system. Catching the balls outside, running scat back routes, stuff like that. I think they were looking more of a pass catcher than a runner, and they got that in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So with that all being said, and this is on the preface of Chris Jones signing back. This is a 13-3 team, probably the number one seed in the NFL or NFC or AFC.
Where are their 3 losses, dude?
Well,
where are their 3 losses?
Definitely not the Ravens.
9-20, 28-20.
Not
week 3.
13-3. 13-3. We'll see where the 3 losses are, but I'm just saying.
First one's week 3.
They really lose a lot. They lost a left guard, and that's about it. And Chris Jones maybe, but other than that, they still have the Super Bowl winning team. We'll see if the hangover's real, but I don't think it's going to be real. They still have one of the fastest fucking wide receiving cords in the NFL and the best tight end. So,
hot tip, hot rumor coming off Joe's Grill. That's right. I got a hot rumor coming off my grill to be extra lame today. Chad Henne, actually, my friend Nude, will be starting the whole entire season. That's why I'm here to say first, with Chad Henne leading the helm, they are going to go 16-0, undefeated, unstoppable, finally getting Kermit the Frog the fuck out of Dodge. Get out of here. We don't need you. Henne to lead the Chiefs all the way to sweet, sweet victory. Second 19-0 team of all time. Take done. Show over.
That's it, baby. We are on the same page with the Chiefs.
No.
I'm kidding.
No, but instead of my dumb Henny bit, man, I mean, yeah, I there's not much more I can add to that, right? And this team's fucking unbelievable. They are high-powered, highfalutin, high octane, you name it. Use your verb, use your adjective, as I always ask y'all to do. I think this team's coming out 13-3 as well. I think they are the number 2 seed to a 14-2 Ravens team. But with that being said, there's not much more to debate here. We won't get into our Chiefs and Ravens week 3 debate here now, but instead just tell you, I mean, they made some great moves, obviously, in the offseason, as Nude already pointed out. I think this is far and above the second best team in the league, and there's not too much else besides the Baltimore Ravens that can really touch them. 13-3 Chiefs winning their division.
I think that's a great take. I think like we said, we have our indifferences for the Ravens and stuff, but there's nothing that like these two teams, Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens, all they got better. That's it. They got better. They might have lost a little, but they regained it in the draft or free agency.
And
We'll
let's
talk
say
about
both Patrick and Lamar work ethic is off the charts in their offseason growth, just like you saw Lamar's offseason growth. And I know agree with me with this, was you got to agree with me on this, was exponential compared to his rookie season from the previous 2 years before. And same with Patrick. I mean, the command of the ball, the understanding decision making, not that wasn't great before, but it was near perfect in the playoffs this year, this past year.
I think the biggest thing is just let's see where he is. Let's see where all this is at. But we'll get to the AFC North next podcast. But we'll see. But Chiefs, you win this division. We'll see if you're the number 1 seed again. Super Bowl hangover, all that stuff. But boys and girls, thank you for listening.
Well, they weren't the number 1 seed again. Real quick, fact correction. Nice try to slip that in there, baby. Ravens were number 1 seed last year, so we'll see if the Ravens can do it again this year.
We'll get to them next. Shut up. We'll get to them. But
14-2 Ravens. How dare you disrespect them? You disrespected Toy Story.
I'm trying to end the
Once
show.
again, you're disrespecting the Ravens.
We will talk about it next week. We'll talk about it.
Now for the next hour, me and Nude shout at each other. Please stay tuned.
Yes. So next podcast, if you don't want to hear us about Lamar and the Steelers and all that stuff, don't listen. But we want you to listen. So
you need to listen, baby.
It's
Come
AFC
on,
North.
Tune in and listen to us idiots argue at each other.
Probably the most interesting division because you have Joe Burrows, you have the Browns, you have the Steelers, you have the expectations for the Ravens. So I think it's going to be a jam-packed episode just from those 4 teams. But yeah, thank you for
I'm
rocking.
excited to see how biased you get with your Steelers take.
I'll give you this honest opinion. But thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for being with us. This is obviously Face of the Franchise, home to 4 corners, baby. Give them what they need for 4 corners.
Yes, sir. If you don't know what to do, which you should, I'll still help you. Go join us right now. DM at 4 Corners Radio to join the podcast family that is, of course, Face of the Franchise, Free Therapy, Degenerates Are Us, Hoopin' and Hollerin', Last Nice Guys, and, of course, Bread and Butter. I didn't miss any, right, Nude? I got them all covered, baby, except for 5 Holers. Did not want to forget 5 Holers either. And, yeah, baby, go join us right now. And, last message I want to say is don't mention Ben Shapiro to anybody.
Exactly. So, thank you, guys.
Don't mention Ben Shapiro, ladies and gentlemen. Don't say it.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. We'll be back this week, actually, on Wednesday. So thank you for rocking with us one more time. Stay breezy, stay easy, and one love.
Aha!